It's a great honor and a privilege to introduce Yosef Levkovich in your beautiful home here in Yerushalayim. And Joseph, you were born in Poland.
Right.
If you could just mention a little bit about your family and your background.
Yeah. So my name is Yosef Levkovich. There were times that I did not have a name, I had a number. And even the number didn't count. But anyways, Baruch Hashem, I have a name, and I live in Eretz Yisrael. I was making Aliyah about 5 years ago. I was born in Poland, and we lived in Krakow, and we lived in the heart of the Jewish Krakow, the heart where all the Jews were living. And in 1939, as you know, the war broke out. The Nazis invaded Poland. They marched in without even one single shot. Open borders. We were digging trenches, and then Germans were already marching in. And I was 13 years old at the time. And we were slowly felt the atrocities. When they came in the beginning, that was quite quiet. They didn't bother us too much. So we thought it's just okay, it will be fine. But then the atrocities started. But I'll go back a little bit. When we look at the whole picture, in Poland, there were mostly Hasidim. Not like in Lithuania, there were mostly Haredim, Litvakis, Hasidim. Hasidim had rabbis. When we heard what is happening in Germany, first of all, they were deporting the Ostjuden, the Jews that came from Poland, from Lithuania, from the Ukraine, from all these lost states where there was a lot of poverty, and the Jews emigrated to Western Europe, mostly to Germany. And they did very well there. Unfortunately, their children were already assimilating, but also converting. It was a big time of a lot of conversion to Christianity. Anyways, when Hitler Yimach Shemai came to power, he started up slowly. In the early 30s, he already deported the Ostjuden. They came to Poland without anything, and there were appeals in the shuls in Poland to take in families that they were deported. They have nothing. I remember we brought in 2 families to the house, and they were sleeping on the floor even. There was no room where to. We felt slowly, we felt very uncomfortable. I remember going out of shul, people were standing in groups, discussing. I heard the name Hitler. I was a little boy. I hated that name. I didn't know really what it is like, but what I have known about it, what I have heard from people talking, so I was very, very uncomfortable with it, hated that name. So I want just to go a little bit into that. It's a little history. When you take, for example, a leader in the world, a leader will come either from that he was a congressman, let's say, he was a senator, he was a governor, he was a general, or at least he would be a mayor of a city or a town. That Hitler was a lousy little painter, was nothing. In the army, I was a corporal, just a plain nothing. That is on one hand. On the other hand, take the German nation. They were the most cultural people in the world, the most educated. There was no comparison to the German nation, none, not Britain and not America, not France, no major power, nothing compared to the educated German population. Stellt sich eine Frage, how can such a nation select or elect such a nobody? So what do we see here? Something unbelievable. Something, it couldn't normally happen. It shouldn't happen. That's on one hand. On the other hand, as I mentioned before, Jewish people in Poland, they're Hasidim mostly. And Hasidim don't do anything without the consent of the Rebbe. When we see, when we heard, when we saw what happens in Germany, oh, the Kristallnacht, all the other things, people were starting to run to the Rebbe's before the invasion of Poland. Rebbe, was tut man? You understand Yiddish? Sure. What are we doing? Like all the Rebbes, there were hundreds of them, all Stettlach had a Rebbe, all the villages had a Rebbe. Almost like here, all Hasidim were running to the Rebbe's. Rebbe, what are we doing? We heard something cooking, something that we don't, the smell doesn't smell good. Like all the Rebbes would have had a reunion, and they all agree on one thing. What did they say to all the Hasidim? Poilan, a play of word. Poilan, stay here. The Hasidim listen to their Rebbe. If you look at the picture, what do you see here? On one hand, an imbecile, a nobody came to power. On the other hand, the Rebbeinu Shalom blinded all those tzaddikim, all those Rebbes. They were blind. They couldn't see anything but what's going to happen. Children could see what's going to happen. The Rebbes couldn't see what's going to happen. So what do we see? What do we deduct from the whole story? Something very unusual happened. As I see it, the Rebbeinu Shalom had a plan, and he didn't want nobody to destroy his plan. So he blinded the tzaddikim that they shouldn't see the Chorban coming. And he said a Malach HaMoves, a Hitler, that he went around and he had a plan. If you go back to all the Jewish Chorban Bayis Rishon, it wasn't a plan to kill all the Jews. It was fight. It was the exile to Babylon, and the end of Babylon were flourishing there. Or the Chorban Bayis Sheni, when they were driven to Rome, there were casualties. There were people who were dying, of course. But there was not really a plan to erase the Jewish race from the face of the earth. Or you take the Crusades, or you take the pogroms, take the Inquisition. You had to convert. You don't want to go out. So you had a brere. However, that brere would have been by the Holocaust. So we could see here the Yad Hashem. The Rebbeinu Shalom had a plan. He didn't want nobody to destroy that plan. Put up a Malach HaMoves, came from nowhere, made a Chorban, a Holocaust, and disappeared to nowhere. Even the bones, they don't know if it was his when they found in that bunker. Came from nowhere, disappeared to nowhere, made a home. Killed a third of us, killed 6 million Jews. There was a lot more. I don't have enough tears for the 6 million. There was over 50 million, like 54, 56, they say, World War II. made a big home in the world. So we saw that was a Yad Hashem here. God had a plan. Now the only thing that we have is questions. Nobody has the answer. Questions. I sometimes have given an example. There was a man called, my grandfather told me the story. My grandfather lived over 100. There was a man called Rav Shimon Yauslava, and he was a tzaddik yisoid olam, but had not a single good day in his life. His wife was bedridden. He lost never children, Rahman in his lifetime. And a poor man didn't have a penny to his life. Some of the Gedolei Hador, and I don't remember who it was, I can't remember. I was a child when you heard the story. But it was intriguing. So one of the Gedolei Hador at the time heard about that man. And he said, I would so much want to meet him. But it was, I think it was some Soifer in Freiburg. I think, I'm not sure. Anyways, Rav Shimon heard after, there was no telephone, no radio, no communications, no video. It took time. The idea came to his ears. He heard it. So he started to putting together penny by penny by penny, the Russians. It took a balagula, went to that godel. Came in, sit down, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom. Anyway, talking a little talk, and then he asked him, Rav Shimon, tell me, in what schus are you marach yomim? What is the merit that you live so long? Because he was already around 100 or something. So he answered him, I have no questions. So he didn't feel that he gave him an answer to his question. So I said, Rav Shimon, tell me, what do you mean you have no questions? That is why you live so long. Said, yes, Rabbi, yeah. How? He said, Rabbi, you should know one thing. On Olam HaTachten, on this world, there's only questions. You want the answer? Come up there. There you will see in big letters the answers. There is no questions over there in Olam Haba. Only answers. So I had no questions, so I left me here. Just emotional. An example of the no questions. And if we question, we don't get the answer. We can make up all kind of thoughts, and we'll still not take any conclusion. Everyone will have some explanations of their own. But it was a terrible home. Something like that never happened in history. The first time in the existence of the world that such a thing happened. And we say never again, should never happen. After the Holocaust, when I was liberated, I thought that anti-Semitism is dead, will never get up again. So, going back to today's world, evil has started to raise their head again. Anti-Semitism is flourishing. Europe is terrible. It's through and through full of anti-Semitism. Where the anti-Semitism was before, it's now again very strong. When I speak to students, I said to them, I ask you, be educated. Don't waste your youth. Be educated, very much educated, strongly educated. The more educated you are, the better you can fight evil and fight anti-Semitism. We have a klal. You have to learn da ma lehoshev. You should know what to confront, how to battle, to win the battle. So this is what I say to students today. Last year I went 5 or 6 times to Poland with different groups, hundreds and hundreds of students, thousands of students, and speaking to them, and a lot of them are totally away from, they have no idea of Judaism, but there's a little spark in them. If they come already to Poland, there is already something, they are interested in something. But when I speak to them, they are so far away. They have no problem in intermarrying. They're assimilated. Their families are assimilated. Their parents don't know about anything. Their grandparents were already in America or in England or whatever, and they are far away from anything. And try to wake up in them the Pintalei, to wake up in them that little flame, that little fire, that it should burn, that shouldn't die. There's a lot to talk about. We could take days and we will only start. It's enormous. Now about myself, going back to the beginning where we started, as my area, as I said, the heart of the Jewish Krakow was starting to be very bad. Not so much in other areas, but where the bastion of the Jews were, the Nazis were patrolling the whole day. They're starting to push the Jews off the sidewalk. And slowly, they were starting to tear by the beards. And then the payas, I had little payas, I had to cut them because they were tearing payas. They went around with scissors, cutting the coat, the capotes, the bekishes, whatever you call it, the frocks. They were cutting beards. I have once seen something that unbelievable, that one of those Nazi SS took out a lighter and he lighted the beard of an old man, and he started yelling, screaming. There were a few of them. That is no people. That is beast. That is. There's no word to describe those Nazis.
And you saw this? You actually saw?
Yeah,
you witnessed?
Of course I saw them standing. I was a little boy. I wasn't afraid. I was out in the street. I was looking at how they're marching and how they were yelling and how they were screaming. They told me, after I cut my payas and everything, they told me, you don't look Jewish. So when they asked to wear the patches or the bands with the Mugdovat, I took it off. I was just didn't wear it.
And how old were you?
13 years. And there were shortages and of things. There was not enough food. I used to lie down in the afternoon, in the early evening, on a sidewalk near a bakery. Because in the morning they would open and sell some bread, a few loaves. So I was trying to be close to the window, close to the door where they sell the bread. I was lying a whole night. I took a blanket, and I was a whole night sleeping there on the ground, on the sidewalk. There were big lines, and I was always trying to be early to be able to get a bread. It was shortages everywhere, and I was not afraid. I was traveling to little shtetl, to little places to buy things. I took money as a little boy to buy things, and I bought things that were short. For example, there was no salt. My mother was baking bread, got a little flour, and baking bread, but there was no salt, and we were so hungry, like wolves. When the bread was ready, we got a piece of bread. As hungry as we were, we could not eat it. We had to close our eyes. It is terrible. Without salt, it's like straw. You cannot imagine. As hungry as you are, you cannot eat it. So I was traveling around to buy, and I bought salt somewhere in the places, and brought it back to Krakow, and I sold it, and I made a lot of money as a young boy. You know, starting with all that was useless. The money wasn't worth anything after that. We lost. Anyway, so when it became so bad in Krakow, we had an uncle in a town. It was called Nowe Miasto, Neustadt in Yiddish. So we took a boat in the night, but it was very dangerous. My father, my mother, the family, the siblings, and we locked up everything. We left the house, and we went to Neustadt overnight. We were lucky to arrive there because he said it's quiet there. By us, it wasn't quiet anymore. It was dangerous, very bad. So we stayed there for a while. My father went out one day to buy something on the market, got beaten up by the SS. So we said, it's not quiet anymore. We start wandering. So we went to another place where my father had a flour mill. So we went to a place called Zalishitz. And we stayed there. And there they were taking us to forced labor. For every morning, we had to assemble forced labor, but we came back to the house at night. Until the day came, they sieged the town, and they ordered us to get out on the market by 6 o'clock in the morning, and you can take with you 10 kilos, and you will sit on the market. Everybody has to go out on the marketplace with 10 kilos. So the whole night we were big fear, crying, not sleeping at night, just trying to pack up a few things to whatever was most important. For what, we didn't know. Anyway, and we sit in the morning on the market. There were 17,000 Jews in Zalishitz. About in the afternoon, we sit there from the morning, from 6 o'clock to about afternoon, 1, 2, something like that, I don't know. And they marched us to the train station, and they load up the whole train. And there were more people than the train could take, so they took trucks. And during the night there was such alarm. The SS were yelling and screaming, and they illuminated the whole market, and whoever will look out through the window will be shot. Whoever, the whole night yelling. I speak German, so I understood everything but they were talking. So they loaded the train and then took trucks, and they drove us to a town called Machef. And in that town we were descended from the train, and we were marching to a place, a big field, and they asked us to sit on that field. Everybody sits down. So we were sitting there in the whole afternoon. I don't know how long the train took, an hour, 2 hours, something like that. And we were sitting on that field there, a whole day. You can imagine, not a drink, not a nothing, no food, no nothing. Anyway, we sit there. The night started to fall. It started to get cold. It wasn't summertime. It started to get very cold, and the ground is moist. And every time it's more watery. End of the story. We were sitting till our waist in water. My father was a milliner, so he knew that they opened a dam somewhere and flooded that field. That we should, to demoralize us. That was the purpose. It was sitting in water the whole night, freezing. Even it wasn't summer, but it was at night, and it was freezing, and we were cold. And so day came. After night came day, and we're sitting there till about noontime or so, afternoon. First of all, they pulled out some older people and took them away. My Zaydes, other people, and we heard some shots far away. So we imagined that was it. Anyway, end of the story. We should line up in the next day in the afternoon without a drink, without anything, hungry, thirsty, depressed, demoralized. Everybody should line up, a lot of lines. My family was in a line. At the end of the line there was an SS man with a whip. Didn't say anything. As you came in front of him with a whip. And there were two SS men beside. The minute he showed you that way, the SS man was already pushing you to not to go the other way. And the same thing here. End of the story. From 17,000 people, 16,750 were put to the right, and 750 were put to the left. My father, myself were among 750. The 16,000 few hundred went straight to Belgium. Belgium was a death camp. Nobody came out from there. 600,000 Jews from all Polish state. Oh, there's a walk there, all the names of the state. I went a few times there to talk about the home. Everybody was taken there, and we were brought to different camps. I'm not going to mention them, different camps.
Are these camps, were they in Poland?
In Poland, all in Poland, yeah. A camp called Liszki to dry swamps, put channels and put pipes in each other. But then it took us to Wieliczki, to the salt mines, to, different, then to Mielec, some different places. Okay. And at the end, they took us to a place in Krakow, in the outskirts of the city, in the city, just to destroy a Jewish cemetery, a Besachai, called Jeruzalemska. Was a Jewish cemetery. They came with big earth movers and went over all the graves and destroyed everything, and the bones and the remains and skull. And we were walking, I was walking with a shovel behind those earth movers to collect the bones. There was a guy with a wheelbarrow near me, so I put the bones there, and he put them wherever they asked him to dump it in some place. On that cemetery, we built it. I was one of the builders, between another few thousand people, building a concentration camp called Plaszów in Krakow. And then we built the barracks, and we were not builders, there were engineers, there was builders, but we were the workers there to schlep things. And after that we were walking around with barbed wires and building posts, building a concentration camp. And I was in that concentration camp when it was built. And it was not anything to talk about. It was bad. I had to work and got your portion until a new commandant came. Commandant called Amon Goeth. And that is he became the name, the Butcher of Plaszów. This murderer, this was not a human being. This was a Malchamovus. He went around the camp, but on his track he left always a few people dead, shooting, hanging. Had two big dogs biting, jumping on me too. I had ones you cannot recognize anymore. For decades you could see those lines here. Anyways, at a certain point he was about to shoot me. As far as he's concerned, I was dead. It is a long story, I'm not going into it. Obviously I'm not dead. But I also thought I was dead, and then I was unconscious. And anyway.
Did he actually shoot?
Did
he actually shoot?
No. It's a big story, how that developed. It is too long. He always walked around with the head of the Jewish police, Ordnungsdienst, and I became friendly with that chief of the police, of the Jewish police. I was hungry, and I figured that he has more than me. So I approached him one day and I said, "I'll polish your boots so they will shine like the sun." He said, "Okay." So he come before the siren in the morning, come to my place. So I went and I polished his shoe, and he gave me a little anything, something was. So he knew me for months and months, you know. When he saw that he's going to shoot me, he beat me up, and I felt conscious. So he said, "I find out that later after everything." So he says to him, "He's dead. Save your bullet."
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways,
he saved your life.
Yeah. So one day after, when I came, I was all beaten up. I was all full of open skin and terrible. I was in a hospital in the Riviera. In the Riviera. When I came out of the hospital, I was all beaten up. I was all full of pains, bandages. So when I felt a little better, I went again to him in the morning to shine his boots, you know. When I opened the door, he said, "Oh, you're alive." I didn't know what he was talking about. I said, "Yeah, I'm alive. Want to shine your boot." "You know, I saved your life." I didn't know what he was talking. "Do you remember that?" I tried to remember. I didn't remember. It was a total block in my mind. Yeah. So he was about to shoot you. Remember, he asked you to come down because I was on a pole there chopping. It's a long story. Chopping bricks. Yeah, he saved my life. So he saved my life. He was shot by Get, anyways. Levkovich is the name. He was the chief of the Jewish police.
He was shot.
He was shot. At the end, Amon Gott shot him. Anyway, so from Plaszow I was sent to Auschwitz. In a train, they put in my cattle car 160 people. You know, if you put 60 people, would be impossible. 160 people in a cattle car. We couldn't breathe. We were, it's unbelievable. But slowly it became more roomy. We were in that cattle car for 3 days and 2 nights, without anything, make the story very short, when they unlocked the cattle car, we walked out 20. I was already touching the roof, layers and layers and layers of. It was so. My first job in Auschwitz was to clean up the dead. There were thousands of dead. From every cattle car walked up a few people. So altogether we were about 200 people there, alive, from the tens of thousands probably. So yeah, we were busy with that, for bringing them to the crematorium, schlepping them with little wagons, with little cars. So that was my first job there, and I was very lucky. Because in Auschwitz they made a collection, they selected all the young people to Birkenau, to the gas chambers. They needed that group to do that work, so I was saved by that group. Then they were finished with that job. We had to clean the trains, to wash the train. Then in Birkenau was a little, the ground was a little bit swampy, a little bit, so the engineers had to dig ditches around the camp. So that I was one of those, they needed that group, so I was one of that group to dig those ditches. There were pictures there, so I showed on those pictures I could see where I am in Birkenau. When you see, there's some some pictures put up.
I've seen it.
Not pictures, it was like on boards or whatever it is. Yeah, pictures.
Joseph, can I ask, do you remember, did you ever meet Mengele?
No.
You didn't? Maybe you saw
I
him?
could have seen it, but I didn't know I didn't know that name at all at that time. I didn't know anything there.
Did they do a selection when you came in? Where they said...
No, we have to work. Right away we had to work.
Straight away?
Right away to train, to clean the dead people. That is right away. And then we worked at the ditches, digging the ditches. When we finished this, they sent us to Mauthausen. They didn't send the whole group to Mauthausen. Another Gan Eden. This was in Austria. In Mauthausen we worked at the quarries to chop the rocks, bringing them up 184 stairs. Did you ever see that? Did you ever hear about that?
It was one of the worst. Very few people survived.
Unbelievable. My muzzle was that I was there very short, just a few weeks. So they sent us to another camp, Melk. And Melk we dig tunnels in the mountains. Tunnels. And also other works, and on the railroads work, and the roads, all kind of, just to torture us, to mortify us. From there, they were sent to our camp, Ebensee. Ebensee is near the Bavarian border, near Germany, and there in the Austrian Alps, we dug tunnels. I was one of those, but there were tens of thousands of people that dug that tunnel. I was there last year, 2 years ago. So I was at one place. I knew that I was digging tunnels here. And then I found out there's 8 kilometers deep tunnel. You can get. I walked a little bit there's 2 different entries. A white elephant for nothing, sitting there. What was it for? We have to put shelves up. I fell down. I almost killed myself from top of scaffolds. We were building shelves, and on those shelves, what were the tunnels for? What were they for? To hide weapons and ammunitions against the Allied bombardments in the Alps, in the big mountains in Austria. And there we were also for a while. I lost track of months and days, and I knew nothing. I didn't know when Monday, when Tuesday, when Shabbos, when Yom Tov. I never knew when Pesach was. I never knew when Yom Kippur. Nothing. We were not human beings. We were just worse than animals. If we would be animals, an animal is being fed, properly. You have an animal, you feed them. If we would be animals, there would be a big honor. So we finally, and people were dying and dying and dying and dying every day, dying and dying and dying and dying. And the day came, one day came, in the morning, we didn't get the alarm to go to work. We were wondering what's going on. But we're happy that they don't call us. Later on in the morning, we got an alarm. Everyone should go out on the Appellplatz, the center of the square of the camp where we assembled every single day. We should get out there. So everybody went out there, because in every block, in every barrack, there was a barrack Älteste, the head of the barrack. They always put Germans, they're German criminals. They trusted German criminals better than any other one. So those Germans in the blocks, and they always drove us up to the Appellplatz after. So we all went out there, the whole camp.
Which camp was this?
Ebensee. And then there was a stage there, and the Lagerkommandant, the head of the SS, jumped up on that stage. There was a bunch of SS around him, and he said, "We want to protect you from the enemy. We want you all to go into the tunnels, so to protect us from the enemy, that they shouldn't hurt you." And there was a rumor in the camp that the tunnels were mined. They wanted to blow us all out. So there was a yell, everybody started, 9, 9, no, no, no. So they started shooting for a short while. We ducked. And then it was quiet. We lift up our head slowly, and we look at the stage. There's nobody at the stage. We look around, all around us, no one there. There was one guy there near me. He was a good guy, actually. He was a kappa, very good young guy, a German guy. There's a lot to tell about him, how he helped us in many ways. So I asked him, "Lolo, what's going on?" "I don't know." And we stay around. And what I see all there, it's also unbelievable. A young Russian that died. So a bunch of Russians went and they cut out his behind and roasted it on. Yeah, this is something that it's not to believe. I couldn't look. I went away. But when I saw initially what they're doing, I asked him what they're doing. Anyway. So we walk around in the camp, and they started to. We don't see any Nazis, nobody. So people started to beat up the coppers. They started to take revenge on all kind of those bad people. They broke into the storage rooms, pulled out all that they found there, food, grabbing, fighting. I stayed away from everything. And as we stayed there, so he said to me, we were a few people, like 3, 4 people, let's go to the end of the camp, to the wires, let's see what's happening there. So we went to the end of the camp, not to the beginning, not to the gate, but some to the end. And between the wires there was a walkway, The first wires were electrified, the others were not electrified. And we see an old German walking on that, with an old rifle, with a long coat, not an SS, a Wehrmacht, from the regular, an old guy. So my friend, Lolo, said to him, "Hi, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm walking." "Who asked you to walk?" "Well, somebody, the officer told me to walk." "Who's your officer? What officer? From where are you?" I said, "The Wehrmacht." "But what are you supposed to do?" "Nothing. They told me to walk, so I'm walking." "Tell me, is the wires electrified?" He said, "No." "Can you touch it?" So he touched it. The minute he touched it, he grabbed 2 rocks, 2 stones, started to breaking the wires, and we put them away, and we went through the wires. And we said, "We are free." Just crazy, Well, we came back to the camp, and we saw, then a tank broke in through the main gate. American tank broke in, crashed through the gate. I remember I jumped on the tank, and I was screaming, "I'm Jewish, I'm Jewish, I'm Jewish." So one guy in the tank said, "I'm Jewish too." I said, "Can you give me something?" So he put it in the pocket and he gave me something, some candies. And I ate up those candies. I found out later they were not candies, they were chewing gum. But I didn't know about that. I ate them. Anyways, and we were liberated. And then it was started the whole what and when and where. We were wandering from place to place. We were wandering from country to country. We took a boat on the Danube we drove the street down because that guy is from Vienna. So he said, come to my house. He was a guy, he wasn't a Jewish guy. He was a good guy.
This is the one that...
The Lola, the capo. He was a guy, I'll just tell you one thing. When we were working on a railroad trucks, hard work, of course. So there's one man, an older man, a Jewish man said, Jews, Yidden, you know what day it is today? Who knows what day is today? Today's Yom Kippur. So we were just a little bit got a goose skin. Yom Kippur. And he heard that we said Yom Kippur, everybody like that. So he came over to me and said, Yosef. He knew me by name. He was a good guy. What does he say? Well, he said that is the most holy day that the Jewish people have. Really? Lie down on the floor, don't work. Lie down on the floor, put down the shovels and the picks and everything. I will stand on that mountain of the big pile of gravel, because the SS, they were circling around. There were maybe 2 miles of lined up, hundreds, maybe thousands of people working. So there was a few SS walking around, you know. He was standing on the pile. When I give a yell, Zex, everybody grabbed the shovels and work. I'll come down from there with a whip and I'll give you a few other. That's what happened. And when he passed away, he was out of sight. Sit down, don't work. That was a good guy, very good guy. He helped with whatever he could.
So can I ask, why did he join you? Why was he...
Who?
This non-Jewish person, why was he there?
He was a criminal. He was a criminal.
I was
a criminal. So he was a thief from profession. A young thief. I saw him after the war also stealing. That was his profession. He was happy about it. So the Nazis made him as a capo. You know, he was in the camp. He was a prisoner like me. But the Nazis always preferred to put Germans as on top of the Häftlingen. So anyway, my aim was after the war to come home, calling home. So I came back to Krakow, I came back to my home. We have our street, the street is on our name in Krakow. The street is there, my house was there. I went to my apartment on the 2nd floor, so the janitor that used to live in the basement lived in my apartment. She said, come in. Gave me a glass of cold water. It was very hot outside. And I look around and I said, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I had no interest in it, but just remembering home from the past, you know. It was like a good feeling. So I came I said, anybody came back? No, you're the first one. So I went a few times back and said, anybody came back? If somebody would come back, they would come home. I didn't know what happened till the end of the war. I didn't know. In the beginning of everything, my family was already dead. But I hope all the years.
And your father, that you were...
My father, we was working together with me in Plaszow. They were separating and they sent him to, I didn't know where. I know where they sent me. But he was sent at a different place. I only got from the International Red Cross a death certificate signed by our SS man. I have it somewhere. Verstorben, died, no explanation, in 1944. In Flossenburg, a concentration camp in Germany. Flossenburg. So I have a date. This is the other ones. Nothing. Everybody went into Belgium. Not 600,000 Jews, not a single one came out. Yeah, I was there a few times, saying Kaddish, lighting candles, walking. commemorating, talking to the people, explaining, big groups of people. I have a lot of pictures, documentary, a lot of things. So, coming back and again, one day, some neighbors across the street, I went into this was my house, across the street, a young couple, not a young couple, a man and a woman called me by Polish name, Yosef, come. I was afraid to, because I heard a lot of things that the Polacks did after the war. Anyway, they kneeled down and then we made a cross over their bodies. They begged me to come. So I slowly approached them and I said, what do you want? So they said, we knew your parents, they were such nice people, they used to help us when we needed help, and I heard that they didn't come back. You're the only one that came back, but you recognize things in your house, and those boys, big schlobers, big boys, they are planning something against you. Be careful. When I heard that, I just made a U-turn, never came back again to the place. Anyway, so then I said to myself, if I survived and millions didn't, it must be for something. Must be a reason. There must be a sibba. Why I survived. I have to do something. I was thinking what to do, and then I remembered one thing from my family, my father, my uncle. They were telling us when things became very, very bad that people took babies and they put them into institutions, to monasteries, to churches, to private home, to different places, take young children, babies, and just try to save them because they were deported, and so they wanted to save. So I said, there must be children, Jewish children, not enough that they killed 6 million. Why should we lose what the... Anyway, I worked very hard, got through a very big communist leader, and through him I got very big documents, very powerful documents from the security. But they asked me, what do you want to do? So the word to say Jewish children was a lost case. I wouldn't have gone far. So I was thinking, and I thought out an idea, and I said to them, I want to unite families what the Nazis have separated. Ooh, that sounded so great in their ears. The communists were, the Soviet Union was occupying Poland at the time. So I had to, the Polish government were communists, but the word Jewish was not kosher. So when I said to them, I want to unite families that the Nazis have separated, beautiful. There was no families to unite, just to save those children. And I got quite a number, I got 40 people from the government to do that job. 20 in uniforms and 20 detectives in civilian. And we got weaponaries, because that was a very hard job. And in Poland there was an anti-communist government. Not in Poland, they were in England. But they were underground. And whatever we did, whatever the government did, they sabotaged. So they said to us, what you are doing now, they're going to be attacked by them. We got a place in the Rabka-Zdrój, and we started to collect children and put them up there. Anyway, end of the story, 600 children were saved at the time, mostly girls, 90% girls, just a few boys, not too many. And we put them in that institution, and the institution had psychologists and doctors and nurses and dining rooms and dormitories and people that took care of those girls, to wash them and comb them and dress them up nicely, because they were very, very neglected over the years. There's a lot to talk about that. Anyway, with those children, Zionist organizations came in hiding under the table, to try to teach the children at schools, all kind of things. They were helped by the Joint from America, other organizations from America. All under the table, all illegal, because there was nothing communist. And then I got in touch with Rav Herzog, the chief rabbi from Israel, and I said, we have those children, we only want to send them to Palestine. There was no Israel. And anyways, he recommended me to talk to other people in Paris. There was a illegal organization there from Aliyah Bet, whatever, Bricha, whatever it was called. There was a man by the name Yitzhak Raphael. He was the head of he became a minister in Israel after the Israel became, and there was also another guy, Eliezer Unger. I got in touch with those people through the Rav Herzog. Rav Herzog was working from one side, the other side. We got the people, the kids out of Poland with big difficulties, and brought them to Italy and put them on a boat in Trieste port, and shipped them to Palestine. Came to Palestine, to Haifa. The British mandate didn't let them in, sent them to Cyprus. They eventually ended here. So that took me a year. That took a year work. That my life was in danger. The Polacks were hating me. They were after me. They tried to shoot a few times. I had to run away after a year time. I had a friend that said, "You take over the rest." But anyway, then I went to DP camp, to Austria, where I was liberated in Austria. And the D camp was arranged by the UNRWA, the United Nations Rehabilitation Organization. They were supporting that camp. They fed us. They gave us a hotel in a town called Bad Ischl. Bad Ischl, beautiful city, beautiful town, but a beautiful place. The Kaiser Franz Josef had there the summer palace. We went to visit it after the liberation. So we had a hotel there, Hotel zum Goldenen Kreuz. I visited a year and a half, 2 years now. Time flies. Visited that place again, and the owner of the hotel gave me a book, and she showed me. She knew my name. I said, "How do you know my name?" She opened the book that she wrote, 500 years Bad Ischl, and she showed me the picture of the book, my pictures there. So she knew my name. Anyway, there I became a policeman. And from a policeman, I approached the occupation army of Austria and Germany. I even met the General Matthias Clark. He was the chief occupier, the head of I forgot his name, the Governor General. Yeah. And I said, now I have to do something else. What did I have to do? I said, I want to find those Nazi commanders of those camps where I was in them, and started to work on it. I had a list, and I went after each and every single one of those. There were beasts, murderers. What they have done, what I've seen. I lived in those camps. Baruch Hashem, all those 6 that I had on my list, I all caught them, all of them, brought them all to justice. I don't want to go to details, because a lot of details, until it also took about a year. Brought them to justice, brought witnesses. I was in court every day.
In which country were they brought to justice?
In Austria, in Dachau, in Germany. From Austria to Germany, in Dachau. There was the place where they brought all there were the courts where they judged all those war criminals. There was the big one in Nuremberg. There were all the ministers, but here there were the Nazis, the head Nazis of the concentration camps, all those murderous Nazis that, yeah. So.
And who were the judges? Were they mainly American?
American judges, American military men, all military men. I have all those pictures, but it will take days. It's not just.
And what happened to them? Were they sentenced to death, or?
Every single one, I have the list of them. Every single one was condemned to die by hanging.
And they were hanged?
Just a minute. Amon Gert, for example. When I caught him, my blood was boiling in me. I beat him, I kicked him, I spit in his face. I called him all the names he used to call us. He wouldn't open his mouth. I put him in a jail in a little cell because I was afraid of him because he was sitting among other prisoners. Put him here, I said he's a special, very, very worthy criminal. And I tried to talk to him, beating him, spitting on him. He wouldn't open his mouth, wouldn't react, nothing. He wanted to die already because he knew what for murderers he was. I wanted to see if there was any remorse or something. There was nothing there. So this took me a year. Anyway, they was about to hang him in Germany. So the Polish government came in and they said, stop. His crimes were committed in Poland. We want him extradited to Poland. And the American authority agreed to it. They extradited him to Poland. Poland judged him again. Again, Nakamol. I was happy. Let him as much as dirt you can put on his face. Poland condemned him to die by hanging. He was hanged in Plaszow in the same spot where he hanged other people. So that is the end of the story. And I was there in Austria and Bad Ischl for a little while, and I was planning where to put my next step. So I was very involved in Zionist movement, and I went to Zionist conferences after the war, while I was doing this and doing this, and they wanted me to. There were Zionist leaders from Mizrahi. I was a Mizrahist, so they wanted me to go and study. I was 18 years old. They said, one day we will have a Jewish state. One day we'll have a Medina. We will need politicians. We will need diplomats. Yasser, we want you. Big people. They all were ministers here. Moshe Shapira, Zorach Warhaftig.
You knew Zorach Warhaftig?
Moshe Shapira was the big guy. You remember he was on the government for the first day till his death. Zorach Warhaftig, Yossel Burg. There were so many. Shai Bernstein. They want me to go to study. They want me. I would have studied. I would become even some politician here in Israel. I took a different route. They wanted to take me. I had the American immigration wanted me to go to America. I had letters from the Rav Shmuel Belkin. He was the head of Yeshiva University. He wanted me, but he knew me through his grandson, that we were together in surviving after the war. So he wanted me to come to Yeshiva University. Maybe I would become a rabbi. I don't know what. But I was alone in the world. Left one single person, and all I needed is family. I didn't have anything. I have everything. I had everything. I didn't have money, but I didn't need anything. Whatever I need, I had. I had everything. I got a car from the Americans, the Jeep. I had everything. I had to eat and drink and clothes. I had uniforms. I didn't need anything. But I didn't have any family, and that was what I was longing, family. I always ask people, who appreciate the dollar? I mean the shekel. Who appreciate money? Who appreciates the dollar? I was living in the dollar country, in Canada. Who appreciates the dollar? Who is it? The one that doesn't have it. One that does have it, put it in the pocket and whatever you need. The one that doesn't have the dollar and he's hungry, what does he do? He's in big trouble. He knows what it means to have a dollar. I didn't have family, and I was dying for family. Family. Where do I take family? My whole family is gone. Here I see through the International Red Cross announcement. They were searching. People were searching, families from all over the world. And there was a list through International Red Cross putting out, I see there in Argentina a man, Levkovich, Israel Levkovich, is looking for my father, for my mother, for my Zayde, for my Bubbe, for my uncle. I see somebody in Argentina that is this is a family. So I answer the call and I tell them who I am, and he sends me a ticket to come to Argentina, and that is where I wanted to go. Nothing else. No money, no study, no rabbi, no politician, nothing. Family. And I went to Argentina with difficulties. I'm not going into details because I ended up in Rio de Janeiro. I couldn't come to Argentina because they didn't let in Jews. Don't ask. And I was living without a language, without a dollar in my pocket, anything. Living in Rio de Janeiro about 6 months, learned the language, started to work. And then eventually I went to Paraguay, made papers, I came to Argentina. Not legally, but made up papers, all kind of things. And lived in so this is a great uncle, my Zayda's brother.
You met your Zayda's brother?
Of course, I came to him. He sponsored, he brought me. So I came to him, stayed by him. He had a factory, I went to work in his factory. I got an envelope every Friday with the money. And at certain times I left that place. I wanted to be, it wasn't working anymore. There were different sibis why. It wasn't for me, the place, you know. It was fine, respect them and everything, but it wasn't for me. So I was living in Argentina for 8 years. I was very, very successful there and everything. Socially, financially, everything. And then I went for business to Colombia, Bogota. And there I found my wife. From Polish parents, from Ostrowiec. I went a few times there, it was a long trip. To go from Buenos Aires to Bogota took me about a week. Place to place, go from Buenos Aires to Santiago de Chile, Santiago de Chile to Ecuador, from Ecuador to Lima, anyways, yeah, because there was no direct flight, little planes at the time. And I got married, and they wanted me, Argentina became like the dictatorship, Perón, they wanted me to live in Bogota and Colombia, so I moved to Colombia.
And how old were you when you got married?
What?
How old were you when you got married?
26. Yeah. And Baruch Hashem, married, I couldn't find anything better in the whole world. That was once in millions that you find such a Eish Israel. And I had, in Bogota, Colombia, I had 2 children. My eldest son, when he was school age, I had to leave. I wanted to give him some education that I didn't have. I wanted to give him some yeshiva education. I couldn't get it there. We tried to do all kind of things. We built a shul there. We built a mikveh there. We did all kind of, brought people, brought rabbonim. The people didn't. It didn't. So I had to leave. I had it very well there financially. I left. I wanted to go to New York, didn't work out. I ended up in Canada. I was living in Canada for 56 years.
Where in Canada?
In Montreal. Yeah, 56 years. At 88, I was pushed by Nefesh B'Nefesh. On my birthday, I wanted to come to Israel. And it's not so easy. You have family, you have children, you have grandchildren, you have business, you have a house, you have this, you have that. I liquidated everything, what I could, and I said, I'm going. My children, well, Daddy, what are you doing? I'm going. And I did the right thing. If I wouldn't have gone at 88, I would never have gone. So I did make that decision. I came, and I had that apartment for over 60 years. and I was one of the builders of this. 60 years ago, we made a company, like 6 people, to build Yerushalayim. That was the purpose. There was wilderness here. I came here. There was, don't ask, it was near the no man's land. And this was the terrain, rocks, holes.
And look, there's a beautiful building now.
3 buildings. We built a 3 building. This is number 47, 48, and 49. The big, long one, 48. Yeah, we put in a lot of money, and came in the early 80s. The government of Israel went bankrupt, and we lost all our money. But anyways, so I bought an apartment, like every partner that whoever wanted to buy. I bought another apartment, and was staying empty for years. And then I decided I'll rent it, because it was. And when I decided to come, I let the people know. There was one man living here, and the whole thing was a mess. When I came in here, it was all broken. There was a single window. There wasn't a door. Everything, you can close a door, you couldn't. The walls were on the floor, crashed to the rubble, because the water, the shower went on the wall. It was. I sold a house there, and I put everything into that. I made a new apartment, totally new, from A to Z. Everything. And I settled here. This is a Haredi area. I am not quite Haredi. I thought maybe I will sell it and go somewhere in the city to live. But I got such a tremendous welcome here from all those shchenim, from the rabbis, from the Rosh Yeshivas, from all those, from everybody. Everybody received me with such a b'seva ponim yofos. Then I said, it's such nice neighbors, such wonderful people, I'm not going nowhere. So here I am.
And you had mishpacha here?
No, I'm alone here. I have a great son that came to study here, and came to yeshiva to learn. He learned for like 2 years in yeshiva. And then he called his parents, Daddy, Mommy, I'm making aliyah. So he didn't go home. Enlisted to the army, was for 3 years in the army, became a commander and everything else. And after that he finished the military job. He went to Bar Ilan to study economy. And he finished economy now. He lives in Givat Shmuel, it's called, near the university there. So he still lives there, because he has friends over there and so on. And then he got a job, and now he's working, and he comes occasionally. He comes to visit occasionally. Yeah. So now, especially in this time of hopefully we are now at the end of the big pandemic that it destroyed a lot of lives and a lot of everything. It had a tremendous impact on every single person. Whatever you do, it impacts you. People have losses, and I don't have to tell you what it. But Baruch Hashem, hopefully now, with so many millions of people with the vaccinations, we heard that the numbers are going down, and hopefully we see the light of the end of the tunnel. And so what? We hope for the best, and hopefully there will be Shulam in Eretz Yisrael. And we will see that there's thousands and thousands of Talmidim here, Yeshiva Bucherim, and when they will go out in the world, we hope that there will be Marbetz Torah. They'll bring Jews back from assimilation and from intermarriage. We don't want to have another Holocaust by ourselves. So we hope the future looks good, but we have a big fight in front of us to fight assimilation on one hand and intermarriage, and on the other hand we have to fight anti-Semitism and evil that is on the world. And hopefully Hashem will help us in that fight.
Yosef, I just want to mention something. So your name Jose was when you were in South America.
The what? Jose. Jose, yeah, South America. I was known Adayam. My papers are all written Jose.
So
Yeah.
normally I would ask somebody, what is your message for the future generations? But you've already given a message. Your message is so
Education. Education and education, education. With education you could fight your enemies. With education you could re-establish Judaism. You have to be intelligent, you have to be educated, you have to know what you're talking about, because there's a lot of deniers in the world now. That people want to deny the Holocaust. They have interest in it. They tried, I have seen they tried to erase camps. I went to so many camps in Poland and in Germany and Austria. They tried to, in years from now, 50 years, 100 years, nobody will know that that was a concentration camp. I've seen already build it on them, buildings, housing. In Ebensee, for example, I want to go in there. Beautiful houses, gardens, flowers, sidewalk. Other places is a military base in Austria and in Melk. We went there. I have a movie. I have a movie. The premiere was down in London. I went there. My whole family came to the premiere of the movie. It was the most beautiful theater on the West End in London. They showed it here also because they wanted to show it in America. Corona came in and they couldn't do it, so they showed it here also for 48 hours on Tisha B'Av. So I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people saw it. The movie is called A Survivor's Revenge. What is the revenge? The revenge is to do good all that they do bad. That's the revenge. Build Jewish life, what they destroyed. Fix what they destroyed. Repair what they destroyed. So the message is, the future looks good. We have to work hard. We have a lot of Talmidim. They will spread over the world. There will be mechanachim. There will be teachers. There will be rabbis. There will be educators. And wish them atzlacha. They should be successful in their work. Yeah.
I just want to thank you. Yosef, if I can I'll just over here with you. Really, I just want to thank you so much, Yosef, from the bottom of my heart. It's just been, there are no words.
Okay.
There are no words to your story, what you went through, and you are so positive, and you have such emunah.
Baruch Hashem.
You have such emunah. It's mamish unbelievable.
My emunah saved me. I say it to many people. I had to what to hold on my emunah, in my best and my worst. I had to hold on to my emunah, to my God, and I felt Him on my side always. I always say to people, if I would be an unbeliever, tell me, to whom would I hope? To whom would I pray? To whom would I hold on in my words? To the lamppost? To whom? To the wall? I had a God. I had to whom to hold on.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and just in good health, and maybe a stream in nachas, and you just have all of Hashem's blessings.
Thank you.
You so deserve. Be'emet toda rabba rabba im kol halev. Thank you so much. Yosef, this is a picture of your late father.
This is my late father when he was a young man, when he was in the Polish army.
How did you manage to get the picture?
There's a picture of two soldiers. The one was somebody's father, and he didn't know who the other soldier. The other soldier was my father, but nobody knows. But in the early years, somebody in the early 50s, after the war, somebody said, "Oh, I know who that other man is." And I think a son of his was surviving in Argentina. So that is how and he was hidden, that guy was saved, hidden by a Polak. And he asked me, if you want the picture from your father, I'll send it to you, but you have to send packages, so many packages, I don't remember, to Poland, to that guy. That was expensive packages, but I sent them. And so he gave me the picture of his father. So I made a picture. From
And you remember that how your father?
yeah, this picture I remember was at home. When I saw it, I don't remember all the other things. But when I see it, I remember, of course.
And your mother, you don't?
Nothing. Everything. We were stripped naked. We put in the to go to the bath hole. We had to leave
Do you
everything.
still have an image of your mother, or you don't? And I forgot to ask you.
My siblings, no, nothing.
How many siblings did you have?
3 more. We were 4. We were 5 actually. One died. I was the oldest, and there were 3 little boys.
And they were all killed.
With my mother together in Belgium.
And if you could just show the picture with you and the Baba.
Yeah, I could show you. I knew him when he was a young man, like when I was a young man, and we were like friends. But when he became a Rebbe, he was a big Rebbe. Thousands and thousands. They have today maybe, I don't know, 50, 60, 80,000 Hasidim. Big. New York Borough Park. Streets belong to them. Yeshivas and Beit Medrushim and Besiak, unbelievable, a whole empire.
And where was this picture taken?
In New York.
And you have a special kesher. You knew him?
No. I was a friend of Bobov. I always came there whenever I wanted. I was invited to all the weddings, everything. When I came there, they didn't let me go. Kept me. Well, Baruch Hashem. He was a great man. His son is now the Rebbe. I know him a little bit. He's already American born. It's different. I went to see him. I told him about his father, and about his mother. We made a reception in Montreal for him. He made the first few $1,000s, which was unbelievable. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Yaakov. Thank you so much, and only in good health.
Thank you. I didn't expect.
So, Yosef, Jose, you mentioned that you were known by your number.
Yeah, okay. Even the number didn't count,
So, and then what happened? You, in Montreal, did you?
In Montreal, in the early, not even before Montreal, in Colombia, when I lived in Colombia. And I was short, that's hot there, short leave. Everybody asked me, what is this? What did you? At the time it wasn't known. People didn't know about it. So I figured, what do I need it for? Had an operation, cost me money to take it off.
And just with a...
Yeah.
And just, do you remember the number?
Of course I remember.
What was the number?
85,314. How could I forget it? I lived with that. That was me. 85,300.
And do you regret that you had it taken off?
I regret because I did a lot of things that I regret. Shouldn't have done it. You get smarter later,
Wow.
You can sit down if you want.
Okay.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem. Yeah. This. Anyways, my wife. Yeah, I had no family. I was the only one. There's no one in the world that I had anybody. So, but my wife had. She was. They were not in the Holocaust. They were in Colombia. And my father-in-law brought constantly in families, brothers. All the brothers. Not all of them want to come. He insisted on them to come, so he brought in 4 brothers and several sisters. Some lived in, didn't come to Colombia, some went to Toronto. Anyways, my father-in-law came to Palestine with a brother-in-law when they were young. Just got married or something, left the wives. They had to leave because there was a compulsory military service in Poland. They didn't want to go to the army. So they went to Palestine. It was hard to get to Palestine, the British, so they went to Damascus. There was no problem to go to Syria. Went to Damascus, and from Damascus they took some donkeys, and they rode down to, yeah, that was the story. And my father-in-law couldn't take it here. It was impossible, unlivable. The malaria and the terrible heat and sand and terrible. And the brother-in-law, Chaim Perl, there were two sisters. They married two sisters. Chaim Perl decided to stay here. He went to Bnei Brak, founded Bnei Brak with a group of people. They founded Bnei Brak. They named it Bnei Brak at that spot there. He was one of the founders. I have a book from him. Okay, so once I came to visit, I'm talking about I regret things. Mm-hmm. Once I came to visit him, that was in 1950. In January 1950. I came actually in December 1945, in 49, I'm sorry, and stayed here over the Goyish New Year's, you know. So we're sitting there, we're drinking lemonade, whatever, and then he says to me, "Oh, it's time to go for mincha." So we went down there with a little stable, whatever, without mincha there, and then he says to me, "Yosef, come, let's go into the Rebbe, let's say Shalom Aleichem." I said, "Leave me alone, I don't want to." So, I didn't know who the Rebbe was. I found out a little later who the Rebbe was. And I regret this till this very day that I didn't go in to say hi. And that was Chazon Ish.
Wow.
Yeah. So other yom I regret I didn't know. I didn't know when I came from the concentration camps and all that. How would I didn't know any gedolim. I didn't know. I was a young boy when I came in. And when I came out, I had other problems, other things to do. I had a Nazi business to be busy. I was busy in Poland with children to say that I couldn't. So I regret till this very day. Then I found out who the Chazon Ish was. Anyway, yeah, I had a few of those things that you can't go back in time.
It's true.
It's over. That's it. So, yeah. So Baruch Hashem, here we are. I was just talking with my son. We were talking about, because he has his son here, my great grandson. He's dating already for a little while. I said, so I mean, I'm not pressing. But they know each other over 6 months from before the Yom Naruim, you know. About time. There's no use schlepping around. Either it is yes. What is the rush? The father asked the son. So what? Said, what is the rush? That's today's generation. What's the rush? There's no rush, but people have to come to some conclusions. You know, you can't always. Yeah.
But you don't have regrets that you came.
The what?
You don't have regrets you made Aliyah and you've came.
I have regret that I made Aliyah. I should have come earlier.
Wow.
That is the regret. I should have come earlier when I had my wife still. I would be the happiest person in the world if I had my wife with me.
Yeah.
There would be no one would be happier than me. But
Baruch Hashem, you're here.
Baruch Hashem, yeah, arranged them take her away ahead of time. Well, what can we do? So Baruch Hashem, I came, yes, my children, everybody, my grandchildren, everybody was against it. What are they going to do alone there? Well, they're not alone there. I said, don't worry, I was many times alone. Yeah. Alone in concentration camps, alone after the concentration camps. Even when I migrated to Brazil and then Argentina, I was always alone. I had friends. When I came here, I was alone. But all the neighborhood is my friends here.
It's true. I asked somebody and they said they directed me exactly where to go.
They are all my friends. Everybody is my friend here. It's unbelievable. For Shabbos, I had. Today I'm restricting my invitations. I only go where there was a couple, 2 people. But for every Shabbat, I had 5, 6, 7, many invitations. I had to decline. I had to pick one. I said, I'll take a rain check. We'll take it next time. So, yeah, Baruch Hashem. And today, even with couples, I have a smaller group, but I have a lot of friends. People ask me, for this Shabbos, I had 3 invitations. I had to pick one only. One for Friday night, and one for tomorrow. Baruch Hashem.
And when you're invited to go to Poland, you always accept the invitation to go with groups?
Not always, but there's a few organizations that I went with them. There's I don't even know their names. And when I came to Poland, the other groups came there from many places. So they always invited me to talk to their groups without going for that purpose, you know. Schools came from New York, from New Jersey, from different places, Baltimore. So yeah, there was a group from France. I didn't go with a French group, but I went with one of the Israelis from England, with J-Roots or Jewish Future or Maor. So it's a different organization. So while in Poland, there were other groups that they joined us, and they wanted me to speak to them too. So they wherever we went, to the concentration camps and to all those historical places, so they all went, they all joined, you know, to hear, to see. Yeah, I was happy to do it for them. Now it's you know, everybody sits put, nobody goes nowhere. Poland is deserted. I'm not sorry about them, but Auschwitz, every day were thousands and thousands of people in Auschwitz. Buses, dozens of buses, hundreds of cars, the whole parking, if you were there.
I was there.
Packed. So sometimes there's a lot of walking to do. So I asked them to have a wheelchair. I can't walk so much. So they had a wheelchair, so the police had to come out to open certain places for wheelchairs, so not to stay in line, not to go there. So they came, the policeman there and opened. I speak the language. So I said, hello. So he introduced himself. I said, I'm the chief of the police. Oh, nice to meet you. Then he told me, what is today a special day? I see so many people. What's happening today? So I said, today, every day is like this. Every day, thousands and thousands of people. Yeah, people come. People that have no shaykhs to anything that has to do with Judaism, because Auschwitz is known as a extermination camp, Birkenau as an extermination camp for Jews. They didn't take to the gas chambers there any others but Jews. But if you read the signs there, 1.5 million Polish people were exterminated here. I went into the office and I asked that supervisor, I said, tell me, no, there was no Jewish people here that they exterminated? Of course, you say it Polacks. We don't discriminate. It was our citizens, Polish citizens. We don't discriminate Jews or from they're our people. So that's how they try to, little by little, they're trying to, to talk, erase and forget, and many concentration camps don't exist anymore. But I went to, for the movie, we went to revisit places don't exist anymore. A military base. The town has sold lots. They built beautiful houses in Ebensee concentration camp. Beautiful, nice streets, gardens, flowers, beautiful. Okay, yeah, the arches left at where the gate used to be. I made a bruch there. Because there I was liberated, walked out from that place. That's yeah. So what can we? So we talked to people. We said, "Zuchor val tishkach," remember, don't forget. And we say never again. But it's happening all in different places again. People are killing people. People are there are a lot of hatreds in the world now. The right and the left and this and that. In the left themselves they're fighting. In the right they're fighting inside. It's fights everywhere. And people hate everywhere. And how can we get, how could HaKadosh Baruch Hu look upon our world and be happy? He created such a beautiful world. And he sees that people, he said, we have to l'rachu k'moichu. And he sees that everybody hates everybody. He said, I don't like that world. So he sent us a sign, a pandemic, that we should wake up, or we should try to decode, see what's wrong with us. He would like to see a better world. No, I cannot change the world.
And Yosef, can I ask, how do you feel about the International Criminal Court? They now want to try Israel for alleged war crimes.
What else is new? They always hate us. There's now is an excuse, not Jews hating. They're not hating Jews, they're hating Israel. They find all kind of things, racism, they will, the apartheid, whatever. Apartheid, you have the Arabs in the Knesset, lawmakers, you have Arabs living here in the city, wherever they want to rent an apartment, they can rent an apartment. They have the money they want, like the Jewish people, same thing. They want to buy an apartment, he will not sell them, of course he would sell them.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's nothing new. And there is a klal, there is a general rule, Esav son Eliyaakov. They, no matter what, there's always a reason to hate Jews. And that is the norm. Always happened. Go back to history, you'll see constantly the same thing happening.
Is ein chadash tachat hashemesh.
Nothing, all the same.
It's all the same.
The Crusaders, the Romans, the Babylonians, the Inquisition, whatever pogroms constantly. In our modern time, not my time, but my father's, my Zaydas, they talked about the pogroms, that they were constantly beaten up by the Cossacks, by the Russians, by the others, by the Ukraine, terrible haters. Ukraine is terrible Jew haters. They were collaborated with the Nazis in the Ukraine. It's a big country, it's a small thing. Well, Hashem, we're here, and here we are, and hopefully we will stay here. Achi Velio, Bez Mashiach will come. We're not going nowhere. And with the Arabs, the same thing happened. We have to find a solution how to live with them, because they're going nowhere and we are going nowhere. We are stuck here. So we should find a modus vivendi, accommodation somehow to. That's it. Yeah.
Tadaraba, really, thank you so much. And when you went to Poland, you always did it voluntary?
Oh, not a single shekel. In my whole work, there's not a single shekel involved. Not one shekel, nothing. People wanted many times to pay me that. No, just do it voluntarily, not for money. For money, I was working when I worked, had to make parnos, had to educate children, had to bring them up, had to send them to Israel, had to send them to camps in summer, had to send them to yeshivas, had to send them to universities. So for that I worked. I had a family and an open house, and people came and always invited people and friends and children's friends. And at the open house always we had people. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. Good zechonos, good remembrances, you know. Like I said before, if I would only have my wife here, I'll be the happiest person. Baruch Hashem, I'm happy as much as I can, and I'm talking to people, I'm giving many interviews, I'm giving many speeches and lectures, and even to the army. A general wanted to see me, and made an appointment 3 months ago. Before, he had to change his one day for another day. And he came, and came with a major, our lady, a major, interviewed me, and I asked him, "What do you need to?" Gave me. I'll show you what he brought me. So I asked him, what do you need to know my history? What do you know? Why do you need it? So he explained me why he needs it. So I understood. He brought me this.
Sure, this is wonderful.
Yeah, and here he signed whatever. I can't. Yeah. So that's.
And what did he explain you why he needed?
Yeah, he explained me. I have another one. This is also something involved with different organizations.
It's also from the army.
Yeah. But there's other organizations here. Also, the army is also take part in it, you know.
And Yosef, what did he mention? He felt that it's important to meet and to hear firsthand.
It was very important for him to meet, he says, because once there is a Medina,
a state,
if, God forbid, anywhere in the world, it will happen anything against Jews, something terrible, something will be there. It won't happen again. We won't, not like we say, never again. That's what. So I have to learn, because he is the one that lectures officers, and he runs that sort of. He said when in Entebbe it was the problem, we were there. Where else? He explained me a few places wherever it was trouble for Jews, we were there. God forbid it will happen anywhere or something, we'll be there. So I have to tell those officers, those commanders, how important it is that we should be there. So that's why he wanted to, like an hour and a half or more, he was sitting with me taking pictures, and I have some pictures, but I don't know where to find them even. I have so many. I have books, albums, so many of them. Baruch Hashem, I have letters and emails that the organizations compact them and yeah, Baruch Hashem. Yeah. So that's it.
Well, thank you so very much, Bemet. I so appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And you should just have health, mazel, brocha, and nachas from your family.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Yeah. I don't remember that, but I remember being there because there was an uncle or aunt, something in Częstochow. It was a holy city for the Christians. They used to be walking a whole night from Stettlach, from the towns to Częstochow, walking by foot, and with the Holy Mother, with the Holy Father, with the face, with the Holy, all those pictures.
And you had mishpacha that lived there?
I had a mishpacha there, but...
Do you remember the name of the mishpacha?
Maybe Singer or Spiegel, one of the two. Spiegel, there were those two mishpuchas. One was in Częstochow, and another one were in Sosnowiec. So I don't remember, either Spiegel was there or Singer was there. And Częstochow. So we went once to visit as a child. I don't remember even much, but I knew about Częstochow because the Goyim were going there to Euler Regel.
Mm-hmm.
That was for them to. I even once saw. We opened a window. We saw at night. We were heard singing outside, singing like praying their prayers. We looked out. We saw them walking masses, and then I heard that they're walking by foot from this shtetl to Częstochowa, a whole night, coming there to the Black Madonna. I don't know.
That's right. There's a Black Madonna. Yeah.
Something like I think so. This I learned later on when I was already a little older boy, like 10, 11, 12, something like that. Yeah. There was mishpuch in many places, in different places. Occasionally we went to, when I was a child, the parents used to go to visit. We took the children with them. Sometimes they used to come to visit us. A lot of mishpucha were very, very spread, very... were there for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Lots of mishpucha. So, I was wondering, people then when they left Poland, how could they leave? They're so deeply rooted here.
Polin. The word Polin.
Yeah. How would they leave? Everything was there. So many mishpuchas, so many cousins that you know and you didn't know, and uncles and aunts, and so many machitunim, a lot. It was very, very. It's hard to leave, and people did whatever they did. Parnusa, work. Somebody had a house. Somebody had this. Somebody. Leave, go somewhere to a strange place. It didn't make sense even. With all the anti-Semitism, with all the people Jewish people lived in their ghettos. They lived together. We lived in Krakow, the heart of the Jewish Krakow. There were no non-Jews there. There were no Goyim there. Yeah, to work, for helping or something, but Goyim didn't live there. They would be very uncomfortable. Like a from Jew would live somewhere in an Agoish area. It would be not gonna...
And Yosef, when you go back to Krakow, is it a strange feeling going back when you go back?
Not that verkehrt. It brings back memories. It makes me feel good to think about the past, that was happiness and nice and... No, it's, you could lament what happened that got destroyed, But again, it brings back used memories, good memories. Unfortunately, all those good memories are overwhelmed by the home, by all the bad things that happened. But anyways, here we are, Baruch Hashem. We do what we can. We tell what we have to tell, whatever we know. A lot has been forgotten over the 80-some years, you know. Occasionally things pop up, something that you remember, but you had to live the new life in every country, learn new languages, get used to all the customs, all the different lives, you know. It gives me a lot of experience to learn all those countries, all those cultures, all those languages. Many countries. I went through a lot of countries, a lot of language to learn. Baruch Hashem.
And in the years, did you ever...
What?
Did you ever reconnect with any of your mishpacha? Did you ever find...
There was no one left.
No, and
not a single person.
And you never... Nobody contacted you, or a relative, a distant relative, or...
Not a single person survived. The only relative that I did not know about them were in Argentina. They were looking for my whole family, so I answered their call. So that was the only thing. A great uncle.
From your whole mishpacha.
That great uncle, he left before the war. Sometimes, and he was in Argentina. I know there was somebody in Argentina because letters used to come, and I wanted the stamps. I took off the stamps we were fighting about the stamps. Everybody wanted a different look, different, Argentina. So where Argentina was, I wouldn't know. Whether it was Europe, in Asia, or in Africa, I wouldn't know where. Argentina, I know a name. And I didn't know who was there either. But Argentina, somebody there. So after the war, searching, through the internet. That's how we connected. And he sent me a ticket to come there. So I accepted that because I only wanted family, because I didn't have it. There was no family, not a single person. I had friends. I was working, making all kind of work. So I had to work with people. So I had people that are working with me. I had friends. Everywhere I went, I made friends. But no family. So that's why from all the offers that I had, I only picked Argentina because family. I didn't have anybody, so family. I felt as a present from God. So I grabbed the opportunity and I went there. Baruch Hashem.
And you remained close to the family. You have a kiss?
For a while, not so close. No, for a while I was there, and I worked in the factory of that great uncle, and then I moved out. It wasn't for me really. It wasn't mine. It was very nice. They hosted me. They brought me. I was very thankful and everything. But I wanted a different life, so I moved out and didn't have not much contact either. I just
So, but you created your own mishpacha, your own family. Baruch Hashem, you have your own family you created.
Yeah, I created my Baruch Hashem. Yeah. From scratch, just from me, from one person. Yeah, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, all nice, all fine, all go in the Derech HaYusha. the old fine Jews.
And then the last thing I want to ask, you had a very close kesher with Bobov, with the Bobov,
Yeah.
and you still have a kesher.
No, I'm here. I saw the rabbi that is now Bobov. I saw him in New York. Once I saw him. I was sitting with him for a nice while. I gave him over certain things that I had that would be very important for him. Some important letters that the mother and father they sent to me. We hosted them. We did for them sent matunas. Things that he didn't know. I was working when the Rebbe came to Argentina as a young man to campaign for. He started New York. He needed money, so I helped him there, and I gave him the history over to that Rebbe today, to the son. He didn't know about anything. He didn't. It was very, very appreciative, and he said, "We'll see again. You'll tell me more." But I never went again. I'm not really a chussid, you know. I'm universal. I am international. I'm not.
And do you have a kesher here in Israel with Bobov?
A what?
Do you have a kesher here in Israel with the Bobov?
A kesher?
A kesher connection with the.
Not today. No.
I just wonder if we can just show this beautiful picture.
This was for the father. The father had big connection. With him, I had big connections.
So this is the picture with you and. Wow.
I had many pictures with him.
It's wonderful. Sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to go like this. Just go. So I want to thank you so much. Really,
You're very
it's been
welcome.
such an honor and a privilege.
Thank you. The second time now.
I know. I could do it many, many times. Thank you so much, Bemet.
Thank you.